Welcome to the show. My first guest is Michael. Michael, you called. Why?
Steve, I'm here today to prove to my wife that I am a father of our 4-year-old son and to get some answers to some questions.
Why would there be a question whether you're the father to your son or not?
Well, it all started about 16 months ago. I picked up my son and I got a call at 12:30 in the morning that I need to come get my car from the police department.
This is your son on the monitor?
Yes, that's my son, Gabriel.
Now, how old is Gabriel?
He just turned 4. And I got a call at 12:30 from the police department. I need to come get my car. And when I went to go get my car, I found out my wife had been arrested for possession of cocaine.
Was that surprising? Was that something?
I never had any idea that she was using cocaine.
So you get a call in the middle of the night, come get your car, you go down there and you found out your wife was arrested for cocaine, possession of cocaine.
Yes.
You take her home, and what does she say about it?
I didn't take her home. She was in jail. I didn't get her out. Eventually, she was bonded out.
You didn't bond her out?
No. If she was going to choose drugs over our child, I don't have any use for her. She needs to stay in jail.
So how long had you been with your wife?
We were together almost 5 years.
And never saw her do drugs?
No, I worked long hours, anywhere between 65 and 70 hours a week, so most times she was there by herself, and lots of times she would take our son and go spend a couple weeks at her house, which at first it just seemed like innocent visits with her family. But after all this stuff come up, then I found out what she was doing is she was going up there and leaving our child with her. She was out till 5, 6 in the morning. It took her actually getting arrested on drug charge for all her friends and everybody to start approaching me with, well, we know she'd been doing cocaine 6 months before we ever got married.
So she had been doing cocaine and drugs the whole time you've been together, but you really didn't know because she wasn't doing it around you?
Yeah, she wasn't doing it around me. I don't do it. And I worked because...
And you worked a lot, so it gave her time to do it?
Yeah.
So you don't bond her out when she gets locked up for possession of cocaine?
No, I left her in there. I told her there's no way in hell I was getting her out.
And what was the response to that?
Well, when she finally got out, that's when she starts that my son's not mine. One time he's not mine, the other time he is mine, and she's back and forth, back and forth. It's like when I want him, then he's not mine. But then whenever she wants him, it's, oh yeah, she can't make up her mind either way. She's back and forth.
So once you discovered the drug use and you didn't bond her out of jail, you feel like all of a sudden now she starts springing, oh, by the way, he's not your son.
Yeah, because after she got out of jail, I went and had a emergency protective order placed that kept her away from both me and my son.
Because of the drug use?
Yes, because I don't think that at the time he wasn't quite 3. I don't think that a 3-year-old child should be exposed to being around drug dealers and use of cocaine and anything else such as that.
When you hear that your little boy might not be your biological child, what do you feel? What are you thinking?
It was the first time I cried since the day that my son was actually born. Here you are, you've been raising a child for almost 3 years, and all of a sudden she said he's not yours. You know,
that's gotta hurt.
But I'm the only daddy he's ever had.
Well, I'm gonna give you credit because during a difficult time, you said, hey, I'm not getting you out of jail. You pick cocaine over our family, then you can sit in there. And you're doing the right thing by getting protection of orders. You're handling things the right way. That's guts, and you're doing good things for your family and for your son. Before all this, I'm like looking at your life like maybe a bomb exploded, because here you're a good working guy, you have a son, you think you have a good wife, you don't know anything about all this, and then this all blows up and it's changed your life. But before this all happened, was your wife a good mother?
She was a good mother. But that all changed whenever she chose drugs over our child. You know.
And did she eventually ever come out and say, yes, I've been doing drugs?
Well, after I took our son away from her, that's when she, you know, if you lose your child because you're using drugs, you think that would promote, you know, you would want to get better. But no, she just got worse. She started moving on from cocaine, she started smoking crack, doing every type of drug she can get her hands on. There was time for a 5-week period where she didn't even call our son.
This thing, I mean, you're living this normal life, and all of a sudden now, you know, we're not talking about well, she had a drink or a puff of marijuana or whatever. You're saying cocaine, smoking crack, doing all this. Does it just blow your mind that it would get to those levels?
Well, it's like, how can I not see the signs? But like I said, I wasn't around her that much. I was work long hours, and if I'm not seeing
so
it,
you're saying when you're going to work, you're waking up, you're coming home, she's acting sober, you never ran across any crack pipes in your house,
No.
You're not coming across little, tinfoil packets of cocaine, nothing like, oh, whose is this? Oh, my friend left it there, nothing like that.
I don't think she was doing it while I was at work. I think she was doing it whenever she would take the trip to the house. That's when she was doing it, because she was up there with all her friends.
Now, you want full custody of your son, right?
Yes.
Have you taken any steps to find out if you are the real father, if your son's your biological son?
I contacted Steve Wilko show.
Okay.
You are not taking my baby from me again.
Did you do drugs while you were pregnant?
It was somebody else's cocaine.
Could Michael be the father?
I have a pretty good feeling it's the other guy's.
And the results for your DNA test. And before the show, you took a DNA test.
Yes.
And we'll get to those results. And obviously, you're hoping that you are the biological father.
I'm going to prove to her I am the father. I named him.
What would happen, let's say, and I'm rooting for you, and I'm hoping these tests will come back that you're the father, but what would happen if these tests come and it shows that you're not the father, you're not the biological father?
I'm still going to be his daddy. You can't turn your back on a child.
And so all this now, you feel like instead of trying to get her son back, trying to get your son back, that she's went the opposite way, that she's even gone into more drug use, harder drug use. And have you ever confronted her on that?
Yeah.
And what does she say about it?
She's like, you took my child away from me. You took away my world. Yeah, because you were using drugs. So if I take them away because you're using drugs, stop using drugs. It's that simple. Don't move on to something harder.
Do you think she was doing drugs around your son?
Well, I asked her because my son was born premature, almost 6 weeks early. He only weighed a little over 4 pounds. And I asked her one time, I was like, were you doing cocaine while you were pregnant? And she said, I asked her, when was the last time you did cocaine before you found out you were pregnant? She said, about a month prior to finding out she was pregnant. Well, that month prior, she was already pregnant. So she pretty much admitted that she was doing cocaine while she was pregnant. She could have killed our son. He could have been born with some type of birth defects, or he could have been born addicted to cocaine. Whenever you're pregnant, it's not just about you. You have to consider the life that's inside of you, not just your own.
You believe she's allowing people to drive drunk with your son in the car?
Because after she brought my child back, she came up, he was in the front seat of a work van in front of an airbag, and there was 2 open containers of alcohol in the front seat with him.
And who's driving the car?
A guy that she was dating at the time.
And is your wife in the car?
She's sitting in the back of the van. Instead of her sitting in the front seat, my son being in the back seat, she's in the back and he's in the front, in front of an airbag.
So what do you say to her when this guy pulls up drinking beers and your son's in the front seat?
I said, how could you let someone drive around while they're drinking with our child in the van? What if you had a wreck and you killed him? She tried to tell me they were in there already. It doesn't matter when they were in there from, they were in there.
She just starts dating another guy right away? She's still married to you?
Well, after she got out of jail, she went through probably 4 or 5 different guys. And most of them were drug dealers, either drug users.
Do you still love your wife?
No.
So you don't want to be back with your wife? You just want your son, and you want to make sure you do want to have a...
Yeah, I've moved on.
You've moved on. Do you think she's still doing drugs now?
I can't tell, because I'm not around her. Just like before she was doing it when we were married for we've been married for 5 years, and I've never known it until she got arrested. So if she could hide it when I was around her every day coming home to her, she could surely hide it when I haven't seen her in 3 or 4 months.
And you're still currently married, right?
Yes.
She took a lie detector test on all of this, as well as a drug test, and we'll get to that, and you'll find out the truth and find out if she's still doing drugs. When you were married before she got arrested for cocaine, was she a good wife to you?
No.
And why wasn't she a good wife?
She didn't take care of the house. She liked to argue a lot. I come from work, she'd start throwing stuff at me. Ceramic dolphins, anything she can get a hold of, she would just start throwing it at me.
She'd start throwing ceramic dolphins at you?
Yeah.
Why ceramic dolphins?
Because that was the closest thing she could get her hands on.
You are not taking my baby from me again.
Did you do drugs while you were pregnant?
It was somebody else's cocaine.
You made your decision when you started using cocaine.
I took your lie detector test. I took your drug test. I'm gonna prove to you today I did not do any of those things that you said I did.
Could Michael be the father?
I have a pretty good feeling it's the other guys.
And the results for your DNA test.
You are the father.
Get off my stage! All right, well, let's bring her up. This is your wife, Amanda.
You are not taking my baby from me again. You will not do that. You're the reason I turned to drugs, Michael, because when I come home, I didn't have anything. You took everything from me. I made one simple mistake.
Oh, you made one mistake.
One mistake, and you took him from me. That's the only thing in this world that I live for.
Well, why did you choose drugs? I took him away because you're on drugs. Did you better yourself? No, you just started using more drugs.
When I come home from jail, I walked into an empty house. You took TVs, phones, Gabriel's stuff, everything. You took everything, Michael, and I give up. I give up on everything. I lost everything I had, so I give up. Yes, I turned to drugs. What else was I supposed to do? I didn't have anything. I didn't have nothing. I didn't have you. I didn't have my son. Nothing. And I didn't know what else to do.
You made your decision. You made your decision when you started using cocaine.
Michael,
Tell me I took everything.
I used cocaine occasionally. It was
doesn't
not
matter.
an everyday thing. I did not turn to drugs every day until you took my son from me. And you are not taking him today. I promise you, you will not take him today. I took your lie detector test. I took your drug test. I'm going to prove to you today that Gabriel is not yours and that I did not do any of those things that you said I did.
I'm going to prove to you he is mine. I named him. I gave him my name. He has my allergies.
Oh,
I signed the birth certificate.
Amanda, did you ever let him believe that he wasn't the father?
No.
So you let him believe he was the father for all these years?
Yes.
Well, then why all of a sudden now would you say, oh, I'm going to prove to you he's not your son?
I was angry when I got arrested and everything that happened. When I got home, I was angry, and I told him that he was not the father. I had no intentions on ever telling him because he is a great father. I'm not going to deny
So if you
that.
don't get arrested for cocaine, you're going to let the man live a life for the rest of his life?
I was because I didn't want to hurt him.
Or you didn't want to hurt yourself. Maybe
No,
the
I
guy
didn't
that's
wanna
putting
hurt
60,
him.
70 hours a weekend supporting your ass might not after a while if you find out he's been lying to you all the time. I don't understand that logic. I don't want to hurt him, so I'm going to lie to him and let him pretend he's the father. How is that not hurting him? Letting a man believe that this is his own flesh and blood when you're saying it's not.
Michael was, when I told him I was pregnant, Michael was excited and he was ready to be a dad, and I didn't want to take that away from him.
Well, who did you take it away from?
I took it away from myself and my son.
No, you took it away from another guy, right? If you're saying you got pregnant by somebody else.
He walked away. He didn't want anything to do with it.
Were you sleeping with Michael and this guy at the same time?
Yes, I was. I was only seeing him on the weekends He would come down on Saturdays and Sundays.
So you needed a weekday lover.
Yes. Well, no, I didn't. But it just happened that way.
You always try to play the victim. You know who the victim is? Our son.
I know he is.
Could Michael be the father?
It's a possibility, yes.
So if you're sleeping with two guys at the same time and you get pregnant, why wouldn't you say, oh, I really want to find out who the real father is?
Because I wanted Michael to be his father.
Why wouldn't you be honest with the guy and say, you know what, I am pregnant, but I don't know whose it is. Maybe give him the option of, you know, yeah, you want him, he's happy and everything else, because at this time, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's thinking he's the only one sleeping with you, right?
Yes. And I don't know why I did what I did. I was young, I was scared, and I wanted my baby to have a father. And I knew he would be a good father.
Okay. And what, was he a good father all this time?
Yes. He's been a great father.
He's a good supporter?
Yes, sir.
So, because of your arrest, you then decide to tell him the truth.
Right. I was angry. I said it to him out of anger. I never wanted to tell him. I was never going to tell him. But I was angry because he took my son. I was incarcerated.
You keep
and
saying you keep saying he did it, he did it,
He
did it.
did take my son.
Did he put the cocaine in your car?
No, somebody else did. And if
Okay, so
you
then
guys
you
knew the
blame
whole
it on him?
situation-
Were
No,
you
I'm not
doing
blaming it on him.
cocaine?
No,
Were
when
you
I got
using
arrested, I
cocaine?
was not using cocaine.
Okay. You're just having it there.
No, it was somebody else's cocaine, and it got tossed in my possession
took him
when
to
we
get
got
it?
pulled
It
over.
got tossed in your possession.
You let him drive a
Yes.
car. I was paying
If
for
it
it to
got
go pick
tossed
up
in your
cocaine.
possession, you don't do cocaine. Why wouldn't you toss it right the hell back? Who talks like that? Yeah, driving down the street. Somebody tossed the 8-ball to me.
We got pulled over, and he tossed
And I was
it to
like,
me.
what the hell's this? And I kept driving, and the cops locked me up. What kind of crazy story is that?
It's not a crazy story. The officer is the reason I got out of jail because he went and told the magistrate that he knew it wasn't mine. He seen the guy throw the dope at me.
So he just locked you up because you got dope thrown at you.
They locked me up because it was my car.
And you're saying what, 50-50 chance that he is, or?
I have a pretty good feeling it's the other guy.
And the results for your DNA test. I don't believe that story, but let's just say it's true. The cop saw somebody throw coke at you.
He didn't throw it
and
at me. He
got
tossed
you.
it in the car.
He tossed. Okay, he underhanded it.
He just happened to have a big thing of cocaine the size of a softball in the car. I'm paying for it while he's driving it and she's in the passenger seat.
We weren't together. We were separated.
We were not separated.
Yes, we were. It was the first weekend you were coming to pick Gabriel up for the weekend.
We were not separated.
Yes, we were.
I didn't actually separate myself from you two. You were arrested.
If you were separated, how did he take everything from you?
When I come home from jail, he went in my house, my apartment, which he was not living. He was living with come in my apartment and took everything.
I took my clothes.
Are you guys
Gabriel's
married? Are you
clothes,
guys
and
married?
toys?
Yes,
And
we're
TVs.
married.
Okay,
That's it.
and at the time you were being arrested for cocaine and hanging out with some other guy, were you married to him?
We were married, but we weren't separated.
We were not separated. We didn't actually
Okay,
do
we
anything.
didn't live in the same house. You lived in a completely different county than I did.
I was there when I wasn't working. I was driving 70 miles each way to work.
You lived with your ever since the day I moved into that apartment. I had been in that apartment
You
for
forced me to
3
move.
months.
And
And you were living with your
Amanda, explain to me exactly what he did wrong.
He did nothing wrong. I admit I did wrong.
What did you do
I made
wrong?
the mistakes.
Somebody.
being in the car with somebody that had cocaine, making
Well, why'd
the
you
wrong
make it?
decisions.
Why'd you make that decision?
I don't know why I chose to make that decision.
Was your son in the car when you got
No.
arrested?
No, sir.
luckily he was with me.
Yeah, because it was the first weekend you were going to have him.
And so, you're telling me you got in the car, you knew all his drugs were, but you weren't using it.
No, I was not using it.
Just
at the
looking
time.
at it?
I didn't even see it until we got pulled over.
Well, you didn't see it being tossed to you?
Yeah, when we got pulled over, when he threw it at me was the first time I laid eyes on that cocaine.
Oh.
I'll take a lie detector test to
Come
prove that too.
Okay. Now it makes it a little clearer. You're saying as the cop car was pulling you over, this guy took the drugs and he tossed them to you.
Yes.
Stand-up guy, huh?
Yeah, very stand-up guy.
You're picking some really neat guys to hang out with, huh?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to work on your marriage, you're going out with a guy who's tossing bags of drugs at you when the police pull you over.
Yeah.
And did he say, hey, sorry about that?
No, he didn't.
Did you do drugs while you were pregnant?
No, sir.
Not at
I did
all?
not.
You didn't use cocaine before you got pregnant?
I used before I got pregnant, a couple of times before I got pregnant, but I never used while I was pregnant. I was not on drugs like that, to straighten the record. I used drugs socially with friends.
Cocaine?
Yes. But as far as being a heavily partier, I did not party every day.
So when you're using cocaine, what level of drug use would you say? That's mild? That's light?
No, it's drug use, regardless.
Cocaine, I would say it's a
Right.
pretty addictive drug, right?
Right?
Snorting it, smoking it, what?
I was snorting it then.
Snorting it. Did you escalate to smoking it?
Yes, after I lost my child, yes, sir.
And you lose your child and you want your child back so much that you start smoking cocaine.
No, I was lost. And I know I made a mistake. But my child is my everything. He is my everything. And I give up on everything when I lost him.
You even gave up on him then.
I give up on everything.
You called the show, right?
Yes, I
And
did.
you basically here, you're saying you don't want her back, right?
No.
Have no interest in that, but you would like to know if he's your biological son.
Yes.
And you're saying what, 50-50 chance that he is, or
Yes.
you got a good feeling that it was the other guys?
I have a pretty good feeling it's the other guys.
You got a good feeling. And why would that be?
I just have a feeling in my heart that it is.
All right, well, let's find out what you are telling the truth about or what you're lying about. You took a lie detector test before the show, and you were asked, have you ever used cocaine in front of your son? You answered, no. Did you abuse cocaine, crack, or pills when you were pregnant with your son? You answered, no. Have you ever allowed others to do drugs in front of your son? You answered, no. Besides your ex-boyfriend, have you allowed others to drink and drive with your son in the car?
No.
Have you ever left your son in the care of a known drug abuser?
No.
And the results for your lie detector test are that
You are the five.
get off my stage! Have you ever left your son in the care of a known drug abuser?
No.
And the results for your lie detector test are that you're not telling the truth.
There's no way.
But when I'm reading this, and I didn't even read the final line about you not telling the truth, and just the way you're answering, telling stories about cocaine getting thrown at you, and, you know, I'm just doing mild drug use, I'm snorting coke, I could tell that you're a liar. I know in my
I know
gut
I
that you're a
didn't
liar.
use cocaine while I was pregnant with my child.
You hearing her fail this test, and I mean, this is some pretty horrible questions on here. I mean, this is your son we're talking about. Ever using cocaine in front of your son?
Does it tell you which ones I lied and which ones I didn't?
Yeah, it
lie?
says you lied about them all.
That's
How's that?
not true. That is not true.
How about that? All of them.
No.
Here.
I believe you. What else? I promise you that.
You did get one question right. You were asked, did you abuse cocaine, crack, or pills throughout your entire marriage to Michael? And you answered no. And the results is that you told the truth. So I don't know if that gives you a level of comfort or not, but then we get back to using cocaine in front of your son, abusing cocaine, crack, or pills while you're pregnant with your son. Have you ever allowed others to do drugs in front of your son? Well, that's nice. Letting people drive drunk or drinking with your son in the car and putting him in the front seat. Let's forget about everything else. Cocaine, drugs, infidelity, not knowing who the father is. Why not do a simple thing like that with your child? You care so much about your child. He's your everything. How come you're not putting him in the back seat?
Steve, it was a work van. No, it was a work van, and I had to take him to meet his father, and the airbags was turned off. In a work van, you have a key to turn the airbags on and off.
Why wasn't he sitting in the back?
Because there was no back seats. It was a paint van.
Then why even put your son in that period?
This was the only transportation I had.
If you asked this hardworking man, he wouldn't have done it for his own son.
Yeah, he probably would have.
Well, then there you go. Why would you have so many problems with a guy, pretty decent guy, good provider? You say yourself he's a good father. Why can't you get along with this guy?
I don't have problems with him. I think he's a great guy, and he was a great husband, and he's been a great father. We just don't get along. I don't know why we don't get along. We just don't.
Again, I want to go back. If you didn't get arrested for the cocaine, you never would have told him that he might not be the father?
No.
So you would have just let him in the dark for the rest of his life?
Probably, yes.
You have any feelings about that?
I do. I blame myself for all of this, and I know that I'm the one that made the mistakes. I know that, and I'm the first person to admit that I've made mistakes. But people do that, and people change, and I know that I have. I've been clean now for 2 months. Every week that I've had my son, that I'm supposed to have my son, I've been there with him. I have not left his side since I've been home. Because I didn't just walk away from my son and my husband, I walked away from my family as well. I left everything.
What do you want to happen today?
I want to go home with my son, is what I want.
And you have anything you want to say to your husband?
No. Other than I'm sorry I hurt you.
Do you still love him?
Yes, I still love him, but we can't, I don't know.
Anything you want to say to her?
No.
Do you feel like you are just making a lot of bad decisions in your life?
Yes.
You're making decisions of letting people driving with your child in the car. You're, smoking cocaine. You're doing all these things. Why wouldn't you come here and at least admit the truth on that lie detector test? Why wouldn't you give him the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what? Yeah, I did make mistakes. I did do this. Why lie about it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if you're at the point now where you're saying, I don't want to be with you and all I want to do is be with my son, isn't that at the point? It's not like you're trying to hold on to him. You told him everything else. You might not be the father. I was cheating on you then. Yes, I've been doing cocaine. I've been smoking. Why not come clean on everything? So at least then you're saying, yeah, I'm making a complete effort here to be with my son. I'm not going to lie about anything.
I don't know why. I didn't tell him the truth. I don't know.
Did you take a drug test before the show?
Yes, sir.
And do we have those results? Before the show, you did take a drug test, whether you used cocaine or not, and you passed. You have no cocaine in your system. And that's good. I don't think anybody here, me, anybody sitting in the audience, nobody wants to sit up here and say, oh, I hope she was doing coke. Nobody wants that. You're a mother. We want you to act like one.
I want to be a mother. I do.
Well, then start acting like one. And this guy... And honestly, you had a good thing going with this guy. Seems like a nice guy. Talks about how he's working 60, 70 hours a week. You say he's a great father, he was a good guy, great provider. And because you get arrested and you get angry, and rightfully so, he's angry, finds out his wife's doing coke, gets arrested for coke. Then you open the Pandora's box of, you might not be the father. You regret ever making that decision?
I do.
You say you love your son incredibly. You say you love your son. Do either one of you really want to know the results? You say that he's going to be your little boy regardless, right? You've been his father. You've been raising him. You've been taking care of him. You go out, you get a paycheck, you come back. Looks like he's being taken care of pretty good. But what I'm getting at is, do either one of you really want to know the results of this?
Yes.
I have the right to know.
You definitely have a right to know. I'm just saying, maybe it's better not, just go on. Yeah, he's my son. That's it. End of story. I'm going to give you what you want, but I'm telling you, maybe you just go and be his father and you don't read the results.
It's not going to change, but I need to know.
Okay, that's fair enough. You're not the father.
Michael, I'm sorry.
Get away from me.
Michael, I'm sorry.
Get away from me now!
And he's still your little boy. And he still knows you as dad, you know what I mean? Little boy doesn't know anybody else as dad, right?
I love him.
Then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, the one thing is now you know the truth. You know what she
Yeah, the
did
truth
to
that
you.
she's a whore.
But you know what? That little boy didn't do anything wrong.
No, he's the victim.
And so are you. So are you. You've been lied to for a long time. But I hope, like you said, that you are going to take care of that little boy.
Oh, I was loving.
You don't get to sit on my stage. Stand up. What, this is probably a story that you could do almost every day. Could have somebody on my show like you every day and do this story. And there's worse stories, stories of children being abused and just people. But you just look how many lives you're ruining here. I mean, and a decent guy. And what you're doing with your child, drinking and driving, front seats of cars, hanging around drug dealers and drug users, and you're doing drugs, and you sleeping around, and you let this man, now he finds out he's really not the father. I mean, how do you turn out to be that kind of human being? We have no decency about you, no integrity at all. It's just about what you want and what you can do and what you can hide with. This guy's busting his ass, being a good father, and what does he deserve? He finds out that it's not even his kid, that you're a drug head. And for what? What did you have so bad? Guy providing a home for you? And then what? The decisions you make with your child. Doing drugs in front of them. Leaving a drug abuser to watch your kid. And now this guy, what's his emotions going through? What is he thinking?
I'm sorry. I hurt him.
I'm sorry, and that's supposed to clear up everything?
No, it's not. Sorry doesn't
maybe I'm
fix
sorry
it.
after being pinched for drugs.
I'm still going to be his dad no matter what.
That's fine.
I'll be a better father than you'll ever be a mother. I will fight you tooth and nail for him. Just because you gave birth doesn't make you a mother.
I want you to be his father. I want you in this life. I've always told you that.
I can turn my back on you, but I'll never turn my back on him.
That's fine. You have all rights to turn your back on me.
Because a child shouldn't have to pay for the mistakes that their mom makes.
You're right, he shouldn't. I know that. I'm the first person to admit that I was wrong in everything that I did. I know
Well,
I
it's
done
easy to say
wrong.
you're sorry for something you've already done, but you could have prevented by not doing it.
Well, people make mistakes.
Well, you're
Are
just
you
one-
perfect?
No.
No, you're by far perfect. Nobody in here is perfect. People make mistakes, and they learn from their mistakes every single day. And don't you think I hate myself for everything that I've done? Sometimes I just want to just die to just get it over with. Because I know I'm the one that messed up. I know that. And I live it every single day. Every day I do. But people know how to change. And people can change. And I told you I was clean. Was I not? I want to be a mother. I want to take care of my kid. Because you know, before anything happened, before I started using drugs, I was a great mother. I was there with him every single day. From the day I gave birth to that son up until the day that I got served with a restraining order saying that I couldn't even see him anymore. And you tell them that I wasn't a good mother.
Yeah, up to that point.
Yeah, up till that point.
But for the last 16 months, you haven't.
I know that.
You're the one you're the one that lost almost a year and a half, not me.
I know that. And I regret it every
That's time you'll
day.
never get back. Never.
I know that. Don't you think I know that? I know everything that you're sitting here saying to me. I know. I live it every day. I hate myself for what I've done to my son. I hate myself for everything that I've done. I don't blame anybody but myself. You can't blame anybody but yourself when you screw up this bad. And I pay for it every day. I don't sleep at night because I lay in the bed and I think about how bad I hurt you and how bad I've hurt my son. And I don't want to hurt him anymore. I don't.
Well,
He's beautiful.
You know what, Amanda?
I want to be a good mother, and I can be a good mother.
And we want you to be a good mother. We want you to stop making real bad decisions in your life. We want you to stop running around with men that do drugs, that aren't going to take your son's safety seriously. Those, you know what? You don't make mistakes like that. You're right. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. But when it comes to your kids, you don't make those kind of mistakes.
I'm not learning that.
The good thing is, none of the mistakes that you made had tragic consequences. Your son's alive, you're alive, he's alive, so you can start being a good mother. We want you to be a good mother. We want your little boy to have a good mother. But only... But that's all up to you. And you can go to bed crying every night and staying up late awake and wishing life was over and all that, but that's not going to help him.
No, No, it's not.
And truthfully, you just need to start. And the thing is, you're not an addict, right?
Nope.
Haven't done drugs for how long?
2 months now.
2 months. So you're not addicted to drugs. What's preventing you from being a good mother?
Nothing.
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 So why don't you tell your husband from this point on, you are going to be a good mother.
I am going to be a good mother. I'm going to be there from now until forever. Forever. And I promise my son that.
Do you have anything else you want to say to her? So, will you let this man go see his son?
Yes, I will.
Let's go. Here's your day. Get off my stage!